was, if the water was not there to quench our thirst, if the plants were not there to give us the nutrition that we need, if the people support structure was not there to take care of us when we are sick, we would not have been where we are. And we begin to think that, oh, I have achieved everything just by my own effort. Our effort is very tiny, but the support of this whole creation is 99.9%. So the absence of this sense of gratitude is what is called ego. And this is the biggest obstacle in spiritual life, is ego. When we forget that we are dependent on something which is greater than us. We know so little. We do not know our past. We do not know our future. So it is very important in spiritual life to get Diksha to deal with this problem. Because Diksha is the process by which we extinguish the fire of ego, something that keeps us away from our goal, from our spiritual destination. So from the state of Diksha, the next stage is the state of Diksha. In Diksha, we get initiation, we begin to hold the hands of the Guru. We, through our oaths, through our Guru Dakshina, we surrender ourselves to the Guru. But we do not know that how that helps us spiritually. People who have not had Diksha, they do not know what they are missing. But once those who receive Diksha, it's like there is an invisible bond which is established with the higher consciousness. And the Guru is always there to hold us when we fall down, to lift us when we cannot, and to take us further. So it's very important to get everybody initiated on this earth, because without that they are really missing. Their spirituality becomes just a theoretical concept. It doesn't get the practical connection is not established. Then the third stage, because we do not realize, even through Diksha, it will take a long time before we will be able to burn our sanskaras and will feel the grace of the Supreme. So we need Shiksha. First stage was Bhiksha, second was Diksha, and the third is Shiksha. Shiksha means education. Education means, Baba used to say, knowing oneself is the real knowledge. True education is that which connects us with our deepest inner self. And we do not know what that consciousness is, what that self is. As long as it is there, everything is fine. But when that self, when that spirit, when that consciousness, and that soul leaves the body, and then everything becomes lifeless. So what makes us alive is not our intellect, is not our muscles and the strength we have in our physical body, but it is that soul, that spirit. You saw it yourself, how Dada was sitting, and the soul left the body became lifeless. So, but that is not an easy thing to understand. What is the spirit? What is that soul? Because our mind even cannot comprehend that power which holds the mind itself. Mind is the effect, it is not the cause. So the source of psychic strength is also that consciousness. So what is the difference between mind and consciousness? In our mind we have so many thoughts, we have so many faculties, we develop those faculties, somebody becomes a very good physician, somebody becomes a surgeon, somebody becomes a very good driver or pilot, astronaut, astrophysicist, you know. But those are just the faculties of the mind. But who owns this mind? It is the spirit, it is the soul, it is the consciousness, without which even the mind cannot exist. So the mind is there, we say that, oh, I have a mind. So mind is something else and I am something else. So what is that me? That me is that spirit, that soul. So our education system is based on that spiritual fundamentals. And Baba, he emphasized the importance of Jama and Niyama. But what is these Jama and Niyama? They are nothing but they are those pillars which there are some set of guidelines which are there just to establish, to create a certain equilibrium within us so that we can feel the presence of the spirit in us. Those are the niyamas. The purity of our food, the purity of our environment, the purity of our thoughts, the purity of of everything around us. That is contentment. The human being have infinite desires. So the formula of happiness is wealth divided by desire. So there are two paths. You can continue to increase your wealth, or you can put some restraint over your desires. And we can increase our happiness if we can modulate these two factors. So sincere effort, which is the tapa, sincere effort, have a rational outlook, that is the purpose of Swadhyaya, and to cultivate sense of devotion, which is the purpose of sadhana. So those are internal, and the whole idea of this is just to develop a calmness of mind, the tranquility of our being, mental equilibrium, so that we can realize our deepest inner self. So it's very important, because if we don't, then we can be running around this world, but we are missing out on the most essential thing, which is to stay connected with our deepest inner self. That's why it is important to adhere to these niyamas. And the yamas are there in order to help us to create a harmonious world around us. Because if the environment around us is not at peace, then it will disturb our peace also. So how can we create a peaceful environment all around us, in our communities, in our country, in our society, everywhere? That is why these universal principles are there, of the spirit of benevolence, which manifests as non-violence or not to hurt others by thought, word, or action. The truthfulness, because people, when they have to live together, they are communicating. If that spirit of benevolence is not expressed in words in proper way, then that if misunderstanding comes, the trust is lost. So it's important, truthfulness, fairness and justice, which is what the idea of asteya is, not to deprive others of what is their due. So it's basically there should be fairness and justice. Universal love, cosmic ideation, which is what brahmacharya is, and magnanimity of mind. Magnanimity means that we should not only think about ourselves, we need to take what we need for our survival, for our existence, but we should utilize the rest for the welfare of society. So anyway, these things have to be integrated in our education system, and they are the pillars of also of our education system. Because Baba says acquisition of knowledge plus morality, makes for a peaceful society. If you want to create a peaceful society, then it is not enough to only have worldly knowledge, which is what we call aparavidya, but also we need to have an awakened conscience in us so that we use our power of discrimination to distinguish between good and bad, right and wrong, appropriate and inappropriate. But when these things are set aside, we just leave them, then society becomes just like a log jungle. Whosoever has more power, they use it to kill people, to destroy people, and we are destroying this planet Earth in so many ways. We all see it in front of our eyes. That's why education is very important. But education with the spirit of new humanism. Yes. So when Baba founded Gurukul, he told that the teachers will be called Vidyadhipak. Vidya means knowledge, and Deepak means like torch, one who will show the torch of light to others. Or Vidya Vivek means those who have cultured this power of discrimination. Yeah. So he coined many new terms he gave for the Gurukul. Vidya Pratinidhi, in each faculty would have a representative in our academic council, which will be called Vidya Pratinidhi. And so each faculty will have, head will be called Vidya Pratinidhi, and then there will be different members of that. The head will be called Upadhyay, and the other members will be called Vidya Vivek. Anyway, I was very fortunate, yes, in those days, that we were sitting in Tiljala, our RDS was going on, and G.S. Dada came from downstairs and he said, oh, Baba wants to form one academic body, and he wants to know what it should be called. So he's asking for suggestions. But actually, at the downstairs, Baba already started to give his dictation on this, and he says this, the body which I am forming, it will be called Ananda Marga Gurukul, and it will replace the Ananda Marga Board of Education. And and then, he would dictate few lines at a time, and then he created the structure where the head of this body will be called Kulapati, which means like the chancellor, and then he created other functionaries of this body. So after a few days, then G.S. Dada told me that you should stay outside Baba's room because anytime he might give some dictation. So I used to just stay near the door on the floor, and sometimes in the middle of the night, Baba will ask, hey, who is there? And then I say, Baba, I tell my name, and then he will give some dictation. He will say something, and I'll just note it down in Dada's diary. So this went on for a few days, for 3-4 days, and then he said, I want to meet the people whom I have given the duty individually. So, naturally, since I was given the first duty, so I was asked to go inside Baba's room. I went, and Baba's health was not good, so he was lying down on the cot, but the cot was in one extreme corner of the room. So I went and I did Sashtang Pranam and I sat in front of him and he gestured like this. He asked me to come closer. So I came, I was almost close to his face. He said, "Do you understand the scope of responsibility I have given you?" I did not know anything. I didn't what, but I said, "Yes, Baba." That's what I knew he wanted to hear. So he smiled and he said, he came and whispered in my ear. There's nobody in the room, but like he's disclosing some secret. "I've done most of your work." I have done most of your work. So, and then he got up, he sat up on the cot, and with both his hands he put on top of my head and he gave blessings. And then he made some gestures to show that, as if I should keep a condor eyes over everything, like this. And so I was with him for 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, I don't know how long. And then that was my last meeting with Baba actually. And and then I garlanded him before I was still posted in Berlin sector. I was the SS of Berlin sector. So, and I did not realize that would be my last meeting with Baba. But anyway, so, and Baba actually had prepared me for this task all my life. Because when I was in the United States and I had joined the PhD program at the University of Pennsylvania, and during Baba was in jail, so I came to see him 2 times. The first time I came and I saw him and he said, "I have sent the Bhavananda for crowd work and you go back and guide the work there." Because I was thinking what I'm doing here, just, these books, I should just leave everything. And then again, second time, during emergency, I went again. I had to give some money to the lawyers, so I went to see. I saw Baba in the jail, and then he told me that I should defend my dissertation. So just the following year, in 1978, I began to defend my dissertation. So I think it was part of his planning all along. One day in Tirjala, I was in Lake Gardens. I was outside Baba's room and I was sitting there. Kirtan came from Baba's room and he said that Baba is alone in the room, so you can go inside. So I went inside and Baba was lying down, so I did got up his hand and did some massage. And Baba says, "Do you want to become all-knowing?" I said, "No, Baba." He said, "I can make you all-knowing in less time than it takes to make this snapping sound. Chutki, like this." He said, "It takes less than this time, I can make you all-knowing." I said, "No, Baba, I don't know. Why not? You go so many places, you give lectures in different universities. If anybody asks you any question, you can answer." I said, "Baba, no, I don't know." And then Baba smiled and said, "Yes, even if Param Purush wants to give you something, you should not desire. Because you do not know what is good for you. Maybe you will get something and you will lose something. But even any time in your life, if you will ever need to ask me something, you will approach to me in dhyan and I will give you proper guidance." But I thought Baba is always there. We don't need to think, we don't need to ask. He himself tells us what we should do, what we are not to do. But when Baba passed away physically and he left his body, then I thought, what a great blessing to hear from his mouth that he is always there and his guidance is always there. So, actually we are very fortunate. And I, in my life, of course, I had a lot of possibilities, to be with Baba as a Margi, then as a worker, and but I used to love to go with Baba on field walks a lot. And many times, I think maybe scores of times, I went on field walks with him. So one time we were in Amritsar. There's one town in northern part of India. And so when Baba used to come out of the stage, then I will rush and come and stand near his car. So Baba came and he sat in the car and he said, "You are not coming with me?" I said, "Yes, Baba, I'm coming." Right. Because I wanted to go on field work with Baba, but Dadas had fixed one rich person to go with Baba because they thought he would get inspired, maybe he will give big donations and like this. And so before he could get in, I got into the jeep and I went with Baba. So then we were going on a walk. Baba put his hand around. I was a young boy at that time, and that is in I think year 1968. And Baba says once there was a man. He was walking in a garden in London, and he met an old friend of his. And he goes up to him and he says, "Hello, Mr. So-and-so, how are you?" He says, "Fine, thank you, but I'm sorry, I do not recognize you." In Punjab area, that area, people wear these turbans, So he says, "Mr. Singh, hello, how are you?" He says, "Fine, thank you, but I'm sorry, I do not recognize you." He says, "Don't you remember? We were together in kindergarten, we used to play together, we used to sit on the same bench, we used to eat together." He says, "There was no one with a beard in my class." And Baba had such a knack of telling these jokes that it was. One time I also made Baba laugh. One day in Calcutta we were on a field walk, and so I said, "Baba, in northern India we have one Bhakra Nangal dam. So and they generate hydroelectricity. So the politicians, they would go from village to village and they say, you see, the government has taken away all the electricity from the water, and the water you are getting to drink has no power in it." And Baba laughed, and I could see his stomach, going. So it was, but it was really very great in life to have had this opportunity to come close to Baba. And when I got my Abdul Diksha, and it was in 1982, I think, 82, and on February 11th. So it was in Lake Gardens, and Baba says, "I don't have much time, so I will not speak in English, I will speak in Bengali, because in Bengali it takes less time. If you want to say I'm going, 3 words, in Bengali you say Ami jachi, So he spent 15 minutes explaining about the language. But anyway, finally Baba initiated us. There was another brother with me and another Dada. And then after the Diksha, we had reporting in Jodhpur Park. So which is not far, about 1 kilometer away from Lake Gardens. So during the reporting session, Baba usually, at that time, Baba used to give punishment with his stick himself, So reporting was finished, and then one brother, one Dada, he asked Baba for Tantric Abhishek. I did not know what is Tantric Abhishek. I know what Abhishek means, coronation, but what is Tantric Abhishek? I had never heard about it. But he said it so loudly, Baba says, what does he say? He says, Baba, he wants Tantric Abhishek. I don't even know what is Tantric Abhishek, but he said. And he doesn't even remember it later on when I asked him. So Baba said, okay, come in front of me. So I stood in front of Baba. So Baba took the stick and he touched my hair very gently, And I felt like 1 ton of load, like as if it had been taken away from my head. It was so physical that, like when you are carrying a very heavy load and then you put it down and you feel a sense of relief that, And there was nothing physical, but it was all psychic, and it lasted for 3 days. And I would walk between Lake Garden. We were staying in Jodhpur Park those days. Tilgila had not been built. So from Jodhpur Park to Lake Garden, we went back and forth. And I would think, how can I tell this world what a mere touch of a Sadguru can do, what a mere touch of the Mahakal Guru can do. You know, when we talk about these sanskaras, you know, many, many lifetimes of sanskaras, this is, you know, what he meant, you know, that, you know, we are carrying, we are not even aware, and it is because of that that we are separated from our, you know, highest consciousness, and we cannot. So it's only by His grace that we can realize it. By our effort, how much we can achieve. Even if we do sadhana 24 hours, 26 hours, it doesn't, you know, it's like a tiny ant wants to cross the whole Himalayan mountain, you know, how long it will take. You know, many, many lifetimes it can pass on and still not able to do it. So same is the condition with us. You know, once I was with Baba in the room for almost 3 hours, as a Margi at that time. And Baba was telling me about, he was asking me how are my studies and how are my parents, and he would tell, your parents are good, but you know, they're only afraid that you may become a sannyasi. So that's why they are always worried. But, and then just at the end of the time that I was with him, I felt suddenly a desire came in my mind to sit in his lap. But I did not express it. So Baba said, now it is getting late, so you can call Mahdi, because he had to prepare for the evening, the Jana Darshan or the. So I, as if I did not hear it, so I just, ignored it for 40-50 seconds. And then Baba said, now it is getting late and I have to prepare. But we shall meet again. So I figured now Baba really wants me to go, so I did Satsang Pranam and went out and told the Baba, the secretary, that Baba is calling. And the evening was very beautiful, DMC happened. Next day Baba was going to leave. And we went to the airport. And I was part of the security team. So I was wearing this, this military type of dress, And so Baba is at the airport, and he's sitting on the sofa, and a few Margis, about maybe 12 Margis, 15 Margis, they were sitting around. And Baba starts talking about the language of that area. How many different dialects of Punjabi are there, and Pahari Punjabi, and Stand Punjabi, and different examples he would give of different words, which only in the villages, in the remote villages, people use. So Margis were very, very, elated by hearing from Baba all these things. And I was just standing there, in front of him. And suddenly, Baba closed his eyes. And what do I see? That Baba's body turned into tremendous white effulgence. And I am sitting in his lap. And the tears started to roll through my eyes. And I am conscious that what will people think, that here I am supposed to be providing security to Baba, and here I'm, crying like a baby. And it lasted for a minute or two, whatever. And then Baba opened his eyes, he looked at me, and he did like this. Are you satisfied that your desire has been fulfilled? I was not even thinking about it, or it was not even, I had forgotten that thing, what happened the previous day. But, so that, when we say Anandamurti Ji is that, Jyotir Brahma, he is the embodiment of light. It's not just this physical light, it is that, So it's all His grace. And so then we go through our spiritual life, slowly we realize that all the good things happen by His grace. And but still, Baba would like us to make an effort. And that's why, like when he was present, he was doing samiksha. I talked about Bhiksha, Diksha, Shiksha, then is Samiksha. Samiksha means self-reflection, where we see what we are doing right, what we are doing wrong. The world may not know, but at least we know what I am doing, what I am we know. So it's good from time to time. Of course, Baba, when he will do Dharma Samiksha, he will point out all our defects. But we can also do this Samiksha by ourselves. And that also is good for sadhak to help us to, because ultimately, our life on this earth is limited, maybe 100 years, 80 years, whatever it is. So we should, it's good to do this Dharma Samiksha by ourselves also. And then after Samiksha comes Pariksha. Pariksha means test. And this life itself is what gives us the test. We may say that, oh, I am this, I am that, but when the situation comes, that situation will decide whether we take bribe or not, whether we hurt other people or not, whether we steal or not, whether what we do is, So, but if by His grace, if we are able to pass His test, then we get pratishtha. Pratishtha means the establishment ensconcement in the spiritual world. And that pratishtha only happens by His grace. So we play our part, we do our sadhana, and then we leave the rest to Him. At the right time, He will give us what we need, and we'll achieve what we are supposed to.